Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to CDT's Technology and Tips webcast series. Today we're going to be covering Creo Illustrate. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you who are new to CDT webcast series, you can listen to the demo over your computer speakers. However, if you prefer, you can call in your telephone by selecting the radio button next to telephone in the Go To webinar window. Your audio will be muted during the presentation. We will save the questions until the end. However, feel free at any time to ask your questions into the question box, and our moderator, Rosalinda, will relay them on to me at the end of the presentation. This webcast will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel within a day or so after we're finished. You can also find all of our past webcasts there as well. My name is Brad Heiser. I'm the new Applications Engineer for CDT here in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm sure that most of you know all about us, but for those of you that aren't familiar with CDT, we're a PTC value-added reseller, or VAR for short. We resell all of PTC's products, such as Windchill, Pro Engineer, Creo, MathCAD, and Arbortext. The best analogy I've heard to describe our relationship with PTC is that PTC is similar to Ford, and we are like the Ford dealership. They make the product, and we sell and service it. We also have an excellent staff of experienced professionals with migration and integration services, whether that's Windchill or Creo Parametric. What really sets CDT apart is our dedication to support. Our group of applications engineers devote a lot of our free time to helping our customers out. When we're not teaching classes or doing product demonstrations, we're here to help you. We also have 3 PTC certified training centers, one in Kansas City, one in Arlington, Texas, or Dallas, and my personal favorite, the one in St. Louis, Missouri. CDT is unique in that we are one of the only VARs, if not the only VAR, that will run classes with only 1 or 2 students. Also, if there's a specific class that you need that isn't on our schedule, just let us know and we'll gladly accommodate you. Our training website is cdtplm.com/training. You can register for our classes there, or if you prefer, you can contact one of CDT's fine salespeople. So what's on the agenda today? What is Creo Illustrate? What is it? Where can I use it? After that, I've got a live demonstration, which is what I'm sure you guys are actually here to see. And then we'll do some Q&A session here at the end. I bet you weren't expecting a pop quiz. Don't worry, it's nothing too painful. We'd just like to get a little information about what everybody is currently doing for their technical publications. Rosalinda, would you mind throwing up the poll questions, please?
Not a problem. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next one. And here is our last poll question. Okay, that's it for the poll questions. Brad, it's all yours.
Thank you, Rosalinda. So let's get right back into it. What is Creo Illustrate? It's a powerful new tool used to communicate complex service and parts information graphically using 3D CAD data. You can use it to generate detailed 3D technical illustrations and then animations. Compatible with Arbortext IsoDraw, it's fully integrated with PTC's PLM, Windchill, and service information solutions. It can also interpret CAD data from all the major CAD systems such as Creo, Inventor, CATIA, Unigraphics, SolidWorks, and others, as well as lots of the standard neutral file formats like IGES, STEP, and so forth. What are the key features and benefits? It allows you to clearly convey complex information that may be hard to deliver with traditional technical illustrations. It reduces translation costs. This is a big plus. We had a customer approach us recently about using Creo Illustrate for their installation and service manuals. They export their products around the world, and they're currently having to translate them into almost 20 different languages. Using Creo Illustrate would allow them to simply make their manuals a picture-heavy approach instead of the traditional lots of wordage, and it would eliminate the translation costs. Another big plus is that Creo Illustrate can increase illustrator productivity. I'm working with a company right now that still sends the technical illustration portion of their patent submissions out to be hand-drawn. By the time the illustrations were complete on one design, the design had changed enough that they had to decide if they were going to pay to have drawings redone or leave them incorrect on a major patent application. Creo Illustrate could solve this problem by using an associative link to the original CAD files, not to mention drastically decreasing the amount of time required to generate the drawings in the first place. This brings us to a somewhat obvious question. Where could Creo Illustrate be used? Much of the work required to create successful products comes after the products are designed and built. This includes manufacturing, training, parts catalogs, user manuals, service manuals, customer support, and safety and compliance procedures. As I'm sure you well know, making sure that your product is used and maintained properly can be as important as the actual design of the product. So now on to what you guys are actually here to see. Go ahead and hop out of this and over into Creo Illustrate. I want to show you how long it takes to actually import a large Creo assembly. So we'll go in. This isn't the actual one I want here. So I'll search for the one I want. Change to actual native Creo data. This is a Corvette engine with, I think, a supercharger on a Magnuson supercharger. So while this is importing, let me cover the import options again. You basically have three options. The first option is an embedded import. This just takes a snapshot of the CAD data. If you go in and change the CAD data after this point, nothing will update in your illustrations. Your second option is to choose linked and the always update option. This will update your illustrations automatically without asking your permission. And then the last option, which is the one I would use in most circumstances, is to choose linked and the update after confirmation only option. This way, if an engineer decides to go into the model and, let's say, increase the length of a fastener from 2¼ inch to 2½ inches long, you can choose whether or not it's critical to have that part updated in your illustration, or you can leave it as it is. Most likely, you probably wouldn't notice something that small anyway, and you wouldn't want to change that. Wow, that was pretty quick. Still surprised me how fast some of these larger models import. So you can see here, here's the CAD data. I'll simply drag this over, close my excuse me, close my SBOM editing tool, and you'll notice how the engine's laying on its side. This is your crank down here at the bottom. This is supercharger on top. That's probably not the view that you would actually want. I select default view. That shows you that's the default view. So it's as simple, changing the default view is as simple as reorienting how you want it. Select the drop down and use current view as default. So now I can move it around, look at it. You can see that this is actual, CAD data. There is some pretty complex surfaces here. This is a large assembly. There's lots of components in here. So this isn't just a lightweight model. Now I can go back to my default view and it takes me back to the view that I specified. Next I'm going to show you guys the render modes. In the figure tab of the ribbon right here, render modes, you can select them here or you can right click directly on the model. And then your render modes are right here. There's 8: shaded, shaded with edges, flat shaded with edges, cell illustration, HLR, colored HLR, which gets the edge color from the model, and shaded illustration, white shaded illustration. So I like this, got these F9, Shift F9, so I can quickly go through and show you the different options without having to actually click up here and show you. So like I said, HLR, that's what you would traditionally think of as a traditional technical illustration view. It's pretty slick, these rendering modes. Shaded with edges, this is actually a pretty frequently requested option. There are lots of engineers out there that like that black edges. It kind of gives your models a little bit of a snap. And I've worked in the past with an engineer that spent quite a bit of time making his models look that way, and the way he had to do that at the time, I think it was Wildfire 3, was he had to go in and actually make all the parts black and then go in and color all of the surfaces the color he wanted them. So he's going to be extremely happy about this type of option. Like I said, colored HLR, that gives you the colors from the actual components on the model. Shaded illustration, white shaded illustration, flat shaded with edges, and cell illustration, kind of some cartoony looks. You know, if that's what you're looking for, you've got that option. We'll switch back to the standard shaded view. Next, I'm going to show you guys the sectioning tools. These are real quick, dynamic, and easy to adjust. We'll show a section, initial section. We'll say we want this to be the Y plane. You can do quarter cuts. Simple, go in here. If that's not exactly what I'm looking for, pick the cut that I want, cut to, and I can flip it. These drag, so they're really easy to adjust to get exactly what you're looking for. And in addition to dragging like that normal to the plane, you can also hold down Control and drag the plane. It'll rotate around one axis. Or you can hold down Shift and drag, and it'll rotate around another axis. So in the past, you know, if I was looking to get a specific cross-sectional view in Creo Parametric or Wildfire, I would have to go in and say, you know, 15. I want this plane, create a datum plane 15 degrees off of this axis, and you know this. You know, I want this to be just a little bit more this way. You know, now I want it 14.5 degrees. So, well, now I need to adjust the offset of my plane. I can go in and just drag this, and it does it right in front of my eyes. You know, you don't necessarily need that high level of functionality for someone that's just doing technical illustrations. They don't need all of those heavy tools to do that. You can also, up here, choose which parts that it cuts. You can go in and let's say, you know, I only want to cut this component here. Add that to the selected. And, you know, this still drags the same way. Excuse me. So let's open up a different model here. No, I don't want to save my changes. This is one of the training files for the Creo Illustrate class. It's got a lot of different figures in it, so I'll just open it up so that you guys can get a nice, good view at it. You can see over here on the left, I have several figures. Animation figures, you know, some bomb figures. This is how Creo Illustrate really handles the different technical illustrations. So I can go in here and I can hide all of these other parts, and they remain in all of my other illustrations. That allows you to quickly, you get a nice little snapshot of a broad overview of what it looks like there. The explosions are also very easy. There's a Smart Explode tool. Scroll down to a figure that still has all the parts in it. There's a Smart Explode tool, which works really nicely. But for now, I'm just going to show you guys how to move a couple of components. So I can select translation mode or rotation mode. Go in, we'll select this little lug nut here. I can drag it. You can see that the explode line dynamically updates when I move the component, just like it would in Creo Parametric. My explode line tool is up here, and that's as simple as you select it and snap between a couple of points. There are also, we'll go back to our bomb balloon on our caliper assembly here. Bomb balloons are incredibly easy to insert. Simple as go in here and select this, click and drag, release the drag. You'll notice that these two pieces are the same. They both get part number 1. And I mean, I can quickly go in and put all of my illustrations exactly where I want them, all of my notes. There's also several other styles. If you wanted with the quantity as well, that's also here, which because I've already got a balloon there, it's not going to let me do that. I'm going to have to delete this one. Delete these, put in a quantity balloon here. I've got notes with leaders, just general notes, reference notes, and then ones where you can have it automatically retrieve the Pro E part number. You also have lots of symbols that you can insert into these technical illustrations, such as Allen keys, torque wrenches, pliers, hammers, signs, consumables. These are just the default ones, glue and oil. And then arrows if you're, say, showing an animation or an illustration of which way you need to turn something to disengage it from an assembly. Then these arrows are also simple things that you can paste in, and they're in there just like another component in the assembly. Now let's step over to the animation tools, which are some of the more fun parts of Creo Illustrate. You can use animation tools to illustrate an assembly's operation, create an assembly or disassembly sequence, or create a maintenance request to show service personnel how to remove, repair, or replace components. And that's kind of what this one here is, a disassembly animation. Where I left a couple things out. It only took me probably about 20 minutes to create this animation real quick and easy. I'm by no means an expert. I'm just a user. So if someone that used this on a daily basis could get extremely fast with this and create their technical animations really quickly. So you can see I left a couple spots in here where we can go in and put some notes in. So we'll go ahead and do that once this animation is complete. Rewind our animation back to the beginning. So let's go in and let's add a note. We want to add it probably about 6 seconds or so is where this first one was at. So right about there, 6 seconds. 5.99 is pretty close. That'll work. So we'll select annotation, a note with a leader. I'll just drag this out here. You can hide it, you can delete it. Right here we'll edit the properties. You can change all the font size and everything like you would expect that you'd be able to. And let's say for this we want to inspect brake pad for excessive wear. So that added that in there. We'll go back up one step. I did forget to show one thing. There's record content. When I click that button, you see a little red light come on, just like the old camcorders. That means that what I'm doing is actually being recorded. So I should have done that. We'll go ahead and add that note back in. Drag this over. This time we'll just say inspect brake pad. So if you notice, when I put that in right there, it actually, when I drag my animation back and forth, it actually inserts it at that specific time. So I want to let it go for a few seconds, and then I want to take this note and I want to cause it to fade out. Let's go back to our animation tab, select the note, effects, fade out. So jump forward a second. That's how long my default translation is there. So it's going to fade out with that other part. So let's go forward a little farther. See how my bolts explode. My rotor comes out, rotates, and at this position right here, let's insert another note. Because my record light is still on, go to my annotations and properties. Now I can say verify rotor is within specifications. Now you can see I've created a quick, easy animation. I've spent a total of about 25 minutes. Let's go ahead and make this large. Click play. See, that shows how the brake caliper comes out. The bolts come out. It explodes. I have a note that pops up that says inspect brake pad. Everything else comes out, and of course, you might want to add a little more detail to this if this is your design. This just demonstrates some of the quick and dirty aspects of the software. Rewind this back to the beginning. So, I showed you some of the effects there. If we'll go up to another animation here. This is one where I just had it come in and do that. Like, let's say I don't want the caliper to explode off of there. I want to leave it. I want to stop it in this state. Well, it's really simple. I can come in about a second and a half. Drag this up so we can see a little better. Expand out my animation. There's all my components. I can go in, select all of them, hit delete. Now that movement, this bar signifies a movement from 0 second to 1 second. Now all of those movements are gone. Delete this one down here as well. Now I can go in and play it. And let's try playing from the beginning. That would be a little better. So now it explodes or assembles and moves to that point and stops. Now let's say you didn't want it that way. You wanted it to be the other way. You created this, and you not only wanted to show an assembly, but you wanted to show an explode state as well. It'd be as simple as you could copy this into another animation. So we'll say duplicate. Now at the bottom I've got copy of animation. I can go in and I can actually reverse this. I can reverse this animation, play it from the end. I can have it loop so that now it's playing the other way. Go ahead and stop that. We have a few different export options. You can save this to a Windows media file. They're the only codecs I have installed at the moment. You can go download free codecs off of the internet if you know where to get those. If not, we can always help you with that sort of thing. You can adjust the number of frames per second in the recording, the resolution of the recording, and then it'll generate a movie, and you can have it automatically launch the movie when it's complete. So some of the other effects that we can do on parts. We can take a part and bring it in here. We can translate it out. See, that added another second to my animation. And then at this second here, let's say I want it to stay there for 1 second, and then I want to have it flash, say red, and then I want it to fade out. So now I can come back in, part explodes, comes out, flashes red. Okay, let's stop the loop there. So I didn't like that. I didn't like how it kind of went off the screen like that, so I want to add another camera position in. And this is one of the really cool things about the software. If you've used some animation software before, one of the tricky things was making sure that your camera position was always in the right spot when you were recording. Well, this allows you to create your entire explode state. I've got 2 camera positions here already, so it just is moving from one camera position to the second. That's these little black diamonds. So when it comes out here, I want it to, let's say, zoom in on that. So now I can readjust this over here, and I can capture the camera, and see that puts a 3rd camera position in. You can also have it, record as you're dragging. So now so that starts right there in the middle where I had my cursor. Let's start over at the beginning. Zooms in there, comes out. As you can see, this is real quick and easy. If you put a little more time and effort into it, then it could pretty much do anything you'd like for it to do. And if you can imagine how you can manipulate this model, you can make this do exactly what you're thinking. I've already showed you the export options. It's just as simple as grabbing. If I wanted this rotor here to rotate during the animation, I could do that as well. We have some other options, screw and unscrew. So screw would cause it to rotate clockwise and move in at the same time. Unscrew would be counterclockwise and moving out at the same time. Fly in, fly out. You can specify which way that it moves in and out. You can also do some pretty complicated pathway type things. So instead of just moving out along the line, I can set the direction I want to move. I can have it follow a spline, move in a sine wave, or whatever kind of movement I would want that to happen. So then let's go back to our figure. So that's just another figure, just like all these other technical illustrations. If I go into, let's say, this figure, and I want to turn this in, I want to put this into Microsoft Word. We've got some work instructions we're sending out to some guys on the field real quick to show them how this part goes together. It's as simple as I can go in here, save figure as. I have some different options. Image files. You've got your typical TIFFs, JPEGs, bitmaps, PDF. Also, we've got 3D files, which would be IGES, PDF, U3D, step files as well. And then if you're sending this to another type of publishing program, you could use this illustration file. And you've got ISO and you've got CGM. So let's open that, let's close that out. Let's open this engine assembly up again. So as you can see, I can create bolt kits, the tools that are required. Let's expand this out. The torque wrench, it's right there. It's not in this view. It's being hidden. But I can actually create kits, specify that all of the bolts in the assembly go into one sub-assembly, and that'll create a service BOM for the bolts or any of those components that I wish. There are some pretty nice things with automatically generating some SBOMs. There's so like, let's say if in this figure here, you can show the assembly of a few components. I mean, I think you guys get the picture of how quick and easy and simple this is to use. You can assemble other components into this as well. And so in summary, we're really, there's a lot of functionality that goes into this. It's really simple and easy to use. You can have someone with really little to no training jump right in and do illustrations quickly and easily. It's very powerful software. If you guys have any questions at this time, you can feel free to type them into the box, and I'll go ahead and pass it back to Rosalinda. She can read the questions to me, and we can answer those.
Yes, we do have a question. Phil has a question. He has two. The first one is, how long steep is the new non-CAD user learning curve? Which I think you kind of answered you touched on a little bit.
Yeah, well, I can touch on that again. I mean, like I said, I picked this up, when I started not too long ago with CDT. TJ threw me right into the fire, which I'm glad he did. It helped me learn things a little faster. If I have a reason to learn something, and had me demonstrate this at one of our user group meetings. And basically, in the course of 2 or 3 days, I learned it. I learned a lot of the functions of it and went through the training class. I think the training class is a 2 or 3 day class that's offered by us.
Phil also has a second question, and
Yes.
that question is, do you have to use the tool regularly to maintain knowledge of the tool, or can
No.
you use it occasionally and not lose your learned skills?
Honestly, it's for those of you that are on Creo, the user interface, Creo Parametric 1.0 is very, very similar to this. It's pretty intuitive. I would say that it's one of the easier tools I've used, and I was really excited when I got to learn it, because it does have a lot of really good visuals. It's one of those tools that people like to see when your boss is walking by and you're doing a dynamic quarter cross-section cut of a large assembly. It's got that eye candy that really makes people, it allows you to do the things that before you'd have to send out to have a professional graphics designer do. I'm an engineer by trade, mechanical engineer. I've got no artistic skills in my body, but and you can see how I cobbled together something that didn't look great, but it didn't look half bad. Do we have any other questions?
Not yet. Please type in your questions if you have any.
Like I said, my name is Brad Heiser. I'm Brad at cdtplm.com. If you guys have any specific questions about this later, if you're working and you just have something pop in your head you think about, feel free to email me. My cell phone number is listed there as well. Or if you prefer to get a hold of Rosalinda, if you like talking to her like so many people do, her contact information is right there as well. You'll find this presentation after a couple of days on our YouTube page, youtube.com/user/customer-driven-tech.
We do have some more questions, Brad.
Yeah, go right on ahead.
Andrew has a question. How does Illustrate work with ArborText?
It actually, I'm not real familiar with ArborText, unfortunately, being new to the company, but it does claim to interface with IsoDraw, ArborText IsoDraw. So I would assume you could use this to create JPEGs or 3D PDFs and put your technical illustrations into anything, embed them into your web page, or put them in a Word document, or basically this is just another tool to take your CAD data and turn it into something that looks pretty and has really good detailed views in it.
We do have another question from Kenny. What if you have several models that you want to show being assembled, but there isn't a standard Pro assembly? Can you assemble within this tool?
Oh yes, absolutely. Let me flip back over to Creo Illustrate. So let's say, for example, I've got my engine assembly here, and I want to import, let's see, link, and we'll just do, we'll go here, import the suspension component in. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, you can import other assemblies in, whether it's it's the same way as if you would just assemble it into another assembly. Well, I mean, I don't know where that other file went, but I'll go ahead and I'll import this other one in here, so we'll have it in here twice. Update after confirmation only. And you can see now we have two versions of the engine in here. It's one of them was the native CAD data, one was a saved version from before, a Creo Illustrate version from before. But these are two separate entities in here. They just happen to lie on top of each other, unfortunately, so you can't really see them. But then, I can actually create an assembly within Creo Illustrate. It might be more beneficial to create an assembly outside of Creo Illustrate, depending on the assembly. But if it's several thousand components, I would say you might be better off doing an assembly outside and then importing that assembly in. But if it's a smaller assembly, let's say I want to put that suspension component in here. That suspension component was only 100 parts or so. Then I could import that in and show them both at the same time.
Okay, Andrew wanted to clarify. He's the one that asked, how does Illustrate work with ArborText?
Mm-hmm.
He meant to type, let's see, which should we use is what he meant to type. And also another question is, what version of PDM link do we need to run Illustrate? And also, any additional software needed inside PDM link to manage the Illustrate files?
That's a good question. Let's see. I'll go back to the first one there, the ArborText. I mean, if I'm understanding the question correctly, if you have ArborText already, a lot of that functionality, ArborText IsoDraw from Creo Illustrate is, I believe, already in there. Some of it may not be. Like I said, I'm not real familiar with IsoDraw, so that's just a matter of what you're comfortable with and what you're good at. If you see some functionality here that's not in there that you'd like to use, then by means you could use both. By all means, you could use both. And then to go to the other question, this is part of the Creo suite, so we'll have to get back to you with the exact answer on that. But if you can run Creo parametric, I would assume that if it's Windchill 9 or 9.1 or Windchill 10 or I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer. We'll have to get back to you on that one.
And that's all the questions I see at this time.
All right. Well, I know we got done a little bit early. That's mostly my fault for kind of rushing through what I had for you guys. I apologize for that, but that gives you a little time to to do some other things before your lunch break's over. Or if you'd like to, just go ahead and pretend that we're still here, and you can turn the light off and not tell your boss we didn't. I won't tell your boss we didn't get done until 1 o'clock. So.
And also, if you do think of additional questions, feel free to send an email to myself or to Brad. We'll be happy to answer your questions.
Absolutely, and I thank you once again for your time. I know that this is some of you guys go out of your way to be on this, and bring your lunch in on days where you normally wouldn't, and you have to stay at work when you might normally leave. And when we do appreciate you guys doing this, this gives us a great opportunity to put some stuff in front of you guys, and just put our names out there in case there's anything we can do to help you. And like I said, CDT is a service organization, so we're here to serve you. We're here to sell you products, but we're here to serve you is our first and foremost what we're looking to do. So if there's absolutely anything you guys need, feel free to get a hold of us. Otherwise, we will see you again next Thursday.
I guess that'll do it. There are no more questions. We'll see you at our next webinar. We're going to be doing, on the 26th, Creo Simulate. I hope to see you there.
The organizer